Hi there and welcome to Creative AI. I am Pixel Pia and this is my series that I call the Prompt Lab. Midjourney has come a long way, and in today's video we are going to test some prompts in 3 different versions of Midjourney. We are going to use 5.2, 6.1 and 7. We are going to see how each model interprets our prompts. And it's not just to find the best image. It's about see the evolution of style, of imagination and precision. So with that said, let's move over to my computer and Midjourney. So here we are in Midjourney. And as in all other videos in this series, we have no personalization on. And we're working in the image size 4x3. But today we have to switch between the different models. And you do that here under version. And as I said, the first one we're going to try is version 5.2. And our very first prompt is a girl in a forest at dawn, cinematic lighting, photorealistic. And while that is working, we use the same prompt, but we go in and change our version to 6.1, and we do it one more time in version 7. So here we have 3 different models with the exact same prompt. Let's start looking at the images from 5.2. They have a very painterly soft lighting, a rather dreamy mood in all of them, especially in this one. But the girl looks very much like an Instagram model, I would say. Even though she's different in all images, she still looks somewhat the same. So let's take a look at 6.1. Here we see a more varied interpretation of the prompt, and in none of them we see the girl's face. That's interesting. We just see her silhouette. And in 7, what is most visible to me is that we have left that Instagram model behind, and these girls look more varied. They are not so one model fits all. And of course, the imagery is more cinematic, more lights and shadow play in each of the images. So that was our first prompt. But what if we try something more surrealistic? My next prompt is a floating city made of paper drifting above a neon ocean. And just as before, we start in 5.2, we make 1 in 6.1, and the final set of images we make in version 7. So let's start looking at 5.2. This is very creative and very much what 5 was good at. Saturated colors, creative interpretation of the prompt. And if I needed something like this, it's very possible I would choose model 5 for something more fantasy inspired. In model 6, they tone things down a little bit. It's still colorful, but it's not as fantastical or fantasy as model 5.2 were. Here we have 6 and here we have 5.2. So there is quite a big difference. And then we come to 7. This is more controlled surrealism, and this is more like it's showing a model of this floating city, like an art installation somewhere. And you see the colors might show up in the background, but since it is a city made of paper, it's very beige tones for the city itself. So as I said, if I was gonna make something fantastical, surrealistic, I might choose model 5.2. If I want something more, maybe not artistic, but more realistic, I might choose model 7. The last prompt we are going to try today is a futuristic bounty hunter in a cyberpunk city, illustrated comic book style. So we start with 5.2, we make one set in 6.1 and one set in 7. Here we have 5.2, bold colors, really leaning into the comic book style. Here we have 6.1, more clean edges and more separation between the character and the background. Still very much in the comic book style. And here we have 7. Here is the style more differentiated between the images, and I can see why. The strong suit for model 7 is photorealism. So when we asked for illustrated comic book style, it's not its strongest forte. So for this specific prompt, I would probably use 6.1 here for if I was going for something comic book illustrative. So here you have them all, starting with the girl in the forest, photorealism, the floating paper city, and the bounty hunter in a comic illustration. I will pick one from each of these and make a little collage with the prompts and the model, so you can enjoy those. So what did we see here? Version 5.2 is expressive and a little raw in its interpretation. 6.1 introduces a better structure and clarity in the images, and 7, it's cinematic and powerful in its photo generation. And with each new model comes some big changes. 5.2 is known for its stylized, painterly aesthetic and let's call it loose interpretations. We have no reference support in 5.2. With 6.1, we finally got the character reference that so many has wanted. And with that, we could get more consistent subjects across several images. And with Model 7, we got draft mode, a faster idea exploration, and a faster way to work. We also got omni-reference. That is a continuance of the character reference, but with omni-reference, we can refer to not just character, we can use objects as our reference as well. And the coherence to prompts are much better in 7. Midjourney isn't just changing visually, it's also changing how we work, especially with the addition of draft mode. And in my next video, we'll take a deeper look at draft mode and how we can work with that fast and to be inspired. So if that is something you are interested in, I hope you want to subscribe to my channel and maybe even hit the little bell so you get notified on when I upload. And my final words, as always, is stay curious. Bye!